Hello everyone, and welcome to Tasmania's Paranormal Experience, History Behind the Haunted. Alexandra Battery was first constructed to defend Hobart in February 1885 and has since been developed as a public park. Alexandra Battery was a part of a system of defences along the River Derwent, protecting Hobart and other friendly naval vessels. Besides Alexandra, there were another 11 batteries and defence structures. The well-known structures are Mulgrave Battery, Prince Albert Battery, Prince Wales Battery, Queen's Battery and Kangaroo Battery, just to name a few. Strategically, all the batteries, both 20th century and 19th century fortifications, were able to zero in and had the range to halt enemy ships if need be, overseeing the River Derwent from the heights and coastline. The 19th century defence system served from 1804 to 1942, with some of the older defences becoming abandoned throughout the early 20th century. Other more modern defence structures replaced the older fortifications, most of them constructed during World War II, such as Pearson's Point and Fort Direction, positioned at the mouth of the Derwent River near South Arm, one on the east and western shores. The initial construction of the 19th century fortifications were for strategic reasons. Hobart was an important port for resupply for international shipping and trade. This was to be a busy port late into the 19th century, but as other mainland colonies developed, naval traffic was diverted elsewhere. Tasmania was an early second colony in Australia that was quickly colonised and consolidated because the British feared that their rivals, the French, would establish a foothold if they did not. Economically, the island's difficult geography made it ideal for a penal colony and providing convict labour force for development and industry. This would work towards gathering Tasmania's rich timber that would be useful to the British Navy, adding more reasons for protecting the early port town and the greater region. The fear of attack from Britain's rivals never left the mind of the inhabitants of Hobart. This fear led to the building of fortifications and military structures such as Mulgrave, Hobart's first battery, and Anglesey Barracks in 1811, that is the oldest continually occupied barracks in Australia. Alexandra Battery began construction in 1871, but after a Russian ship scare in 1873, this hastened construction. However, Alexandra Battery was not finished until 1885. In the Tasmanian newspapers The Mercury, in 1922, Colonel T.M. Evans reminisces the construction of the battery. At the time there was a Russian scare. The government rushed in haste to complete the battery and all the unemployed flocked to the worksite. I visited during this time, and the men were as thick as flicks about a honeypot, so close together that it was dangerous to the men in front of those using a pick. There were some accidents. On this occasion there were 270 men at work. They received good pay and did little work. And it cost hundreds of pounds, more than if the work had been completed in 1871. Alexandra Battery was constructed from the Battery Point's batteries that were deconstructed, providing the materials for construction. This is interesting since Battery Point today is known for being haunted. Could the transfer of material to Alexandra Battery brought its past paranormal activity? Anyway, the battery has a 3-metre high parapet and they used to be protected by barbed wire and a ditch that was finally completed in 1885. The redoubt had 3 artillery emplacements with an additional bunker for rifle fire. The 2 emplacements intended for 2 5-inch guns and an elevated one for a 6-pounder, according to T.M. Evans. The main armament consisted of 5 guns, 2 muzzle-loading naval guns weighing 6.6 tonnes, firing projectiles of 58 kilograms. Another 2 were smoothbore muzzle loaders of 4.1 tonnes and one 70-pounder rifle muzzle loaded weighing 4 tonnes. However, smoothbore were later replaced by 2 6-inch rifle breeching loading guns weighing about 5 tonnes and firing projectiles of 45 kilos. These guns would be positioned over the parapet and raised up by the hydro-pneumatic carriage. This design is best known as a disappearing gun because when it fired, the gun would reposition itself back down into cover of the parapet for reloading. There was, and still is, an iron plate gate with rifle slots and obvious built-in stores for ammunition and other supplies. In the 1890s there was a development of an electric searchlight and also telephone communications. Alexandra Battery and other batteries in the 19th century defence system never saw any action. However, the battery men drilled day and night, often being transferred on steamboats and trams before marching some of the way to the fortifications. Once there, they dismounted and mounted the guns before firing them. When Hobart experienced the Russian scare, Cool parades were held there, camps were established, and shelling practice focused on the mobile targets in the Derwent River. But they did not always get sufficient practice, since the batteries would often be undersupplied with ammunition. The only time any enemy action ever happened in Hobart was in August 1st, 1942, when a submarine launched a Japanese plane that flew up the Derwent River, surveying the Hobart region, before returning to its mother submarine. The plane was unable to be shot down because it was flying too high for any anti-aircraft gun. So thank you for watching, and I hope you really enjoyed this. It was really interesting to make because of the lack of information about the battery itself and the haunted history as well. So if you want to go and watch our investigation on that particular location, you can click here. So thank you again, and don't forget to like and subscribe, it really helps us.